you let me love you forever, forever? I wanna love you. Will you let me love you forever, forever and a day, 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 day.
Hey fam! Oh, I look crazy. What's going on here? Okay, hey fam! Welcome to the Melanated Way. I'm Linda. This is Abby. We are back. We were here on Friday, and now why do I look crazy right now, y'all? Oh well.
You don't. What do you
kinda
see?
do.
You don't look crazy.
I kind of do, but it's okay. We're covering season 11, episode 10 and 11 of 90 Day Fiance. Where did our love go? And Love's True Colors. Both episodes kept me entertained. And what I loved about these episodes, I don't know if I'm just totally into it, Abby, but I felt like they went faster, even though they're super long, like 2 hours of your day. So, 2 hours. But I felt like they went to the point. Normally they drag the look on too long or the drama. I don't know, but we just
move faster. They're not doing as much of here's what we're going to show you in the next 10 seconds.
Yeah.
We're going to show you next. They cut that out, which is great because I hated when they do that.
Yeah. Let's keep at this pace. Let's do this. Let's do this. You guys, a lot going on to my LA family. We love and support you here at the Melanated Way. As you guys know, Abby is an immigration attorney and she's here for all of your needs. Reach out to her. Don't hesitate. And know your rights. Know your rights and know your rights. And what I've been seeing a lot of you guys is if you are in a situation where you need help, stay silent and ask for an attorney. Period. Those are your constitutional rights, whether you are a citizen or a non-citizen. And just know that me as a Christian, I love and support you. I'm not an attorney, but you have an immigration attorney right here in front of you. And I know that she would be more than willing to help you. So our prayers are up for you. And, these are unprecedented times.
Right. And just a little note, you guys, stay silent doesn't mean until the officer says something that you like. It means stay silent the entire time. They can try to entice you. Just tell us this and we'll let you go. Just tell us where that person is and we'll let you go. Those answers you do not give. You remain silent. The only thing that ever comes out of your mouth is, I want an attorney.
That part. Everything that she just said. That being said, we're going to jump into Where Did Our Love Go? Episode 10. We are slowly but surely catching up, you guys. We start with Shekinah and Sarper, and I've noticed that this season they like to start with those two. And I'm not mad at it because Sarper has really won me over this season. So they have left Northern California. They've arrived in Montana. They're going to meet with her sisters. She hasn't been home in like a couple of years, which I get because we had the pandemic, we had the fires, we had all the things. So I get that. So she's home and she's brought Sarper with her. And they are going to live that cowboy lifestyle, which I find fascinating. And one of the things that I don't think I remembered, Abby, was that she used to live the Amish lifestyle.
I remember her saying that she grew up in a cult. And then we got more detail about how her family left the cult. I don't remember all of it, but her family left. They remained conservative, which is very interesting when you look at the girls now that appearance-wise, they went the opposite way. But they still grew up conservative, but they were outside of what she referred to as the cult.
Yeah, so they lived the Amish lifestyle up until she was 2 years old, and then they left the quote-unquote cult. And then one of the things I also thought was interesting that I don't know, I was like, is this a politically correct term? Was she said, they moved to Montana, very small but lovely home, but they didn't have like all of the necessities that we are accustomed to. And they had, quote, gravity-fed water. And I was like, does that mean a well?
I think that she's talking about well water.
Yeah, okay, so that's is well a bad word nowadays?
I don't think so. I mean, unless they had, look, I don't know all things rural. Some of my family members had well water. So maybe there's another system that I don't know about, and that's the reason why she's referring to it that way.
Yeah, I needed more information. I was like, gravity fed. Is that a water well? What? Okay, anyways, let me know if you guys know all the terms and conditions. Definitely let me know because I was very curious. She bought Sarper a cowboy hat, and they are off to visit some horses. And another thing that I thought was interesting is, that whole, again, call girl, because you don't know what Sarper is saying half the time. Died of laughter because Sarper has really won me over this season. I think his sense of humor. I think Abby, I really do like a dry sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just right up my alley because you have to be like really paying attention, and then he does it so quick-witted that you're like, wait, what did he say?
Right, you have to watch his face. This is not the kind of person that you're going to turn away from and listen to, because his expressions also just are hilarious because he knows when he's doing something mischievous.
100%. Hey, Tanya, teachers are the heart and soul of all of us growing up. So you deserve all of the breaks, and thank you for being here.
Yes, girl.
So we find out that Shekinah grew up with horses, and they're going to go to these therapy horses before meeting her sisters, which she, entwines with like, let me get all of that energy out so that we have good energy when we meet our sisters. And I think this is the first time I've heard of therapy horses. And I grew up with horses, and I love horseback riding, and I've done it often. But I haven't heard of therapy horses before. Have you, Abby?
Yeah, I've heard of it in terms of like juvenile camps for troubled youth. I know sometimes they have this idea of sending them to a therapeutic home as opposed to a boot camp, like a punishment type home.
Mm-hmm.
And that will include animals that they do therapy with. So I've heard it with horses, with goats, and something else that just leapt out of my mind. But yeah, I've heard about it before. And it typically, my understanding is horses that were either abandoned or abused by former owners. So they bring them there to like try and nurse them back to health. And then the juveniles are supposed to help them regain their trust in people and all of that stuff. It's supposed to be a part of their recovery or rehabilitation.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So
Oh, Tanya has a therapy horse ranch near her home.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's very cool. So, there's a little raunchy joke that I thought was hilarious. So Harper's like, so you love to ride? And then he's like, ride me. And she's like, babe, settle down. Died of laughter.
If you're looking at him, it's even funnier because after she says, babe, settle down, he goes.
He's so crazy. So they get on they pick their horses, and, he picks a horse that he thinks is miserable. And there's that whole banter about him loving misery, and misery loves company. But he's a natural, and he's like, I have cowboy genes, which again, I thought was funny. And then they talk about how like you can ride the horses either side by side, which is normal to do, or you're going to ride behind each horse. But just like you're driving a car, you guys, you have to have a horse length in between the horses. And that's just for safety, as well as sometimes the horses like take a break, if you know what I mean. And so he's like, oh no, they like to ride behind each other. And then Shekinah's like, yeah, he likes to follow her and watch her butt. And he's like, just like me. No, if you don't think this is funny, I don't know what to tell you. Like, the things that he says is outrageous.
And that's what she meant earlier when she said she doesn't know if he's stand-up funny, but situationally he is funny. I get it. I get when she said that. It's a good example.
Yeah. So they have 70 days to get married. And he says now that he's on his redemption tour, and he's like, the Sarper redemption tour continues. Yes, Sarper. Yes, it does. The other thing I guess I didn't remember was that Shekinah is the oldest of 6, all girls. And 3 of them have agreed to meet up with her and Sarper this afternoon. And I think it's like Ziona, Shariah. Okay,
Shariah.
so what is it? Ziona, Shariah, Mariah,
and Mariah,
and then the boyfriend Jay.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about like levels of trust and Sarper's relationship with Shekinah, and how he has committed to not talking to other women, not allowing other women in his DMs, and just really being committed to Shekinah. And they really didn't believe him, you guys. They have really bad feelings towards him already. And yes, it's because of his interaction with Shariah, but also too Shekinah's history with men. Right? So he's kind of coming from a leg behind. What are your thoughts? Do you think that Sarper has turned over a new leaf?
I mean, he's consistently shown us so far in the season that he is trying very hard to be a different person. I mean, he didn't have an outburst with a friend who was challenging us to his face. He put his best foot forward with Sophie, the daughter. But his sisters have her sisters have a perception of what Shariah said to them, which are true things that he did. They don't have the information that we've been watching for the past couple of weeks about him. All they have is what he said and did in Shariah's presence, and then a couple of negative things that Shekinah also said about him.
100%. That's why I think, you guys, it's often important to keep your relationship between you and your partner. I think it has a lot of value. Now, do I think that your bestie and the people that are close to you should be your support system? Yes. But I think that if you're going to forgive someone for doing whatever that you feel they did wrong, just take note of that, because once you put it out there, you can't take it back. So if it's a little thing to you, it's going to be a big thing to the people that love you, and they're going to always remember. So, if Tony left the toilet up and you woke up in the middle of the night and like you didn't know this toilet seat was up and you fell in the toilet and now you're pissed off, and then you tell all your family members, but then the next day you get over it, they're still going to remember. You're over it, but they're going to remember. So I'm just saying, like, pick your battles and make sure that whatever it is that you're sharing is very important, that you want them to know for the future, to remember for the future.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe you should sandwich some things. Like every once in a while, I'll have to tell one of my friends when she's ragging on her husband, can you say something nice about him? Like if you're planning for this relationship to continue, I need you to say something nice about him right now.
Right. Exactly. But then Sarper really does put his foot in his mouth when he's talking about geisha vibes and how she serves him with not having to ask her. So she just, makes dinner, serves him, and quote unquote, she was so obedient back then that he misses the old Shekinah. I was like, Sarper, I
think that he was trying to make a joke, and it's not time for a joke. It's not, there's no foundation that he has with them that he's now a quote unquote good person where he can make this kind of, oh, ha, 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 it's funny the way that she was. You know what I mean?
That, and also, Abby, though, he didn't lay the foundation like he has in the past. Like there was no, here's the buildup, boom, I'm knocking it out.
Right.
He just said it randomly. Like we weren't talking about geisha girls. We weren't talking about happiness, any of that. He just threw it out there. And I was like, oh.
That's right. It wasn't time. It wasn't time.
Yeah.
It's okay. Sarper, I understand though. It just wasn't time.
Moving on to Mark and Mina. Mina's meeting with Jade, Mark's ex. You guys, I asked a question on my social media whether you guys thought that Mina and Jade resembled each other. And 90% of you guys thought that they resemble each other, which I thought
Are you kidding me?
I thought was fascinating, yeah. And, we have hundreds and thousands of followers on social media. So 90% of you guys that voted, that's a lot. A lot of you guys think that they look similar.
They do not resemble each other in any way whatsoever. They don't have the same build. They don't have the same face shape, nose, eye shape, hair color, skin color. They don't resemble each other in any way besides them being black. And so if you think they look alike, I fear that you're not looking at our faces close enough.
And that being said, Abby let you know.
You're not looking at, and I'll be honest, okay? You're not alone in that, because one time I dated a Japanese guy, and after that I was like, okay, I can distinguish better who's Japanese and who's not sorry, I just burped. Finally, I like zeroed in on his face and his features as opposed to other Asian people. So sometimes if you don't have somebody in your circle and you've had no reason to call attention to their actual features, then you're just like black. And you got to stop that.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. If you guys want to, and the replay or wherever you're watching or listening to this, if you want to chime in, whether you think that Jade and Mina look alike, feel free, because I was very fascinated by the results of that poll. Anyways, they meet. It's super awkward at first. Mina, I felt, was making it more awkward because she wasn't saying anything. You're the one that called this meeting, Mina, so go ahead and lead the meeting, because, I mean, Jade doesn't know why she's there. She doesn't even know you, but she was pleasant enough to say, yes, I'll come and meet you. And she doesn't. Mina makes things so crazy. And I want to say that just because, I don't know if you guys saw the post where it was, oh my God, why can't I think of the name right now? Anyways, it's going to come to me. I want to say Michelle Obama because I love her, but it's not Michelle Obama. All right, I'm not going to talk about it because I can't remember. So anyway, she makes things really awkward and she gets jealous over stupid stuff. So instead of leading this whole thing, Jade jumps out and says, I'm open to answer any questions you have. And then finally, Mina's like, you know what? I'm confused after talking to Diana, because Diana was, an S disturber. And she was like, did you break up with Mark? Or did Mark break up with you? Did you live with Mark or did you not? Like all of those things. And Jade's looking at her all puzzled. And she's like, I broke up with Mark because he was moving to Boston and I had no interest of doing that, as well as long distance wasn't going to work for me. And, we tried to make it work, but it wasn't working long distance. And I think in his mind, he always still wanted to get back together. And I was, quote, the one that got away. And then Mina wanted to know if Jade was still together when Mark and Mina got together. And again, Jade's like, I don't know. I don't think so. It didn't work long distance. And then assured her, which is a girl's thing to do, which is not, in my opinion, what Diana was doing. But what I loved about this interaction, first and foremost, Black women always, and still to this day, and it makes me sad, have a stereotype that we're all the same and that we're aggressive and we're this and we're that, all the things that are not true, especially when you have not had any interactions with Black women. It makes me sad. And then Black women to Black women, sometimes there's not the support, and a lot of times there is, but sometimes there's not. And so what I loved about Jade is that she immediately shut down any of Mina's preconceptions of what was going to go on here. So she said that you have nothing to worry about. I have no feelings for Mark. I'm happy in my relationship. We don't have any communication while I'm in this relationship. Does he check in with me once in a while? Yes, now and again, but that's it. And I thought that was a beautiful thing to do, because you already know that this girl who is in a foreign country by herself, has no support, was just attacked by Mark's family, who's soon to be her family.
Mm-hmm.
She's already feeling insecure and questioning her choices. To have a Black woman who is your partner's ex sit down and reassure you and allow you to know that it's okay and this is a safe space really just was refreshing to me.
Yeah, I
Hey,
like this
Della.
interaction.
Hey,
with
1,000 Pieces. Hey, and sorry, Abby.
Yeah, are you okay? I like this interaction with Jade. I'm glad that she wasn't messy like Diana. I felt like Diana was messy. I felt like Jade came in pure of heart,
Yeah.
immediately complimented Mina. I've heard good things about you. You're so beautiful. She realizes Mina's having trouble starting the conversation. She says, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I thought she was very nice. And it seemed genuine.
Agreed. She goes on to tell Mina the truth about her relationship with Mark, that he cheated during their relationship. And here's the thing, you guys. You know, I was telling Abby off air some of my personal relationship drama. And I got to tell you, some of you guys are messy, like just messy. Why are you all so messy? And you know we're going to find out. And not only we're going to find out, like your messiness, why do you put it on us? So they're lying in the bed, y'all. Jade, Mark, in the bed. He's on his iPad and all of his computer gadgets are all connected. So he's sending to someone he already knows a female, inviting her to Martha's Vineyard. And of course, it pops up on his phone. And guess what? Jade sees it while she's in the bed with her man. Messy. Trifling. So Jade says, you know, it was messy. And that's one of the reasons why she broke up with him, because that just was not acceptable to her. And I have to tell you guys that I have a short string like that. Like, we talk about relationships that survive infidelity, and you guys know where I stand personally. I think that if you can forgive your partner and stay with them, that's great and good on you, and you guys go to therapy and all the things. I always say though that if you forgive them, you have to forgive it and move forward. You can't keep putting it in their face. Mm-hmm. However, I am not that person. I'm not, because I know how that makes me feel. I've been cheated on before in the past, and I didn't like how I felt about it. And I also didn't like the person it made me feel like in the moment. So mm-hmm. I know for me, I just need to move on. Mm-hmm. What about you guys? Have you ever been cheated on? And if you've had, did you stay or did you leave? And how did it make you feel? Abby?
I have another question. So we are learning, and I think that we can accept as true, that Mark was unfaithful in a prior relationship. Does that make you, or should that make Mina want to back out of her current relationship? Because they end the conversation with, you know, when is the wedding? And Mina says, oh, I might invite you. There's no conversation about whether or not she should go forward with the wedding based on knowing that he was unfaithful in the past.
True. I don't think that, I mean, a lot of the times they say, you know, past behavior, a prediction of future behavior. However, if he has not done that to her in the last 5 years that they've been together, then I don't think that she necessarily has to not get married because mm-hmm. of what he did in the past, because he hasn't done it to her. But again, that is absolutely her prerogative. Some people change and some people don't. I don't know. Are you once a cheater, always a cheater, or is it circumstantial?
I think once a cheater, unless you have done the work to address what made you cheat, then you're going to do it again. Like, so if it's because of opportunity and you haven't done anything to learn self-control, then you're going to do it again when the opportunity comes again. If you feel somehow inadequate in some way, which is the argument that I got into with a bunch of people over the woman who cheated on the show where you can't see each other before you get engaged. She said she cheated out of feeling like not attracted to her partner anymore. So if you don't deal with, okay, how do I end this relationship when I don't want to be with this person anymore, instead of just going out and being destructive, if you don't learn how to do that, then you're going to do it again. The next time you want to end a relationship, and you're uncertain about how to do it, you're going to cheat again. So if you don't address that behavior, then yes, you're going to continue being a cheater.
Let us know what you guys think, because I'm curious about that. I think that you're right, but I also do think that it's circumstantial. I think that for men specifically, I mean, I don't know why men cheat, but they do. Sometimes it's yes, you're not addressing whatever that issue is, but also sometimes too, they're just not into that relationship, and they're just there to stroke their ego until they get into the relationship they want to get into. And that possibly could be the situation with Mark and Mina, because now he's got a kid and it's 5 years deep in, and that's his person now. Who knows? But you never know. And I don't know. We saw last week that Mark is not the quickest to stand up for her and to speak what he really means. He's very reactive. So I don't know. We'll see. Jade warns Mina to watch out for the mom. Y'all, I was shocked because you know how I feel about his daughter. I call her the devil because she is. And the mom has come across so far as like loving up until she confronted Mina. And I was like, oh, I see it now. I see it now. And it doesn't go past me, you guys, that again, we're looking at a family that welcomes minorities as partners, but do they?
Or props. Partners are props. Because it feels like props to me.
Beware of the mom. Who knew? Mina really likes Jade. She understands why Mark was with her and really feels like she's the kindest person that she's met since she's been in America, and literally wants to invite her to her wedding. That's how much she liked her. Gets home. Tells Mark that they had a great meeting, tells him all the things that happened. Mark's disappointed that Mina met with Jade. And this is the thing, you guys. The way he flipped it and was like, I'm disappointed in Mina for meeting with her. After 5 years, she should trust me. But should she trust you when you lied to her face for 5 years? Because you said that you were the one that broke up with her. You're the one that said that you never lived with her. You didn't tell her about buying a BMW for her immediately. So all the things that are true in your relationship, you withheld or misled.
Exactly.
But now you're disappointed in her. Are you disappointed? Or are you mad that she actually found out the truth about who you are as a person? Which goes back to what Abby's saying. Like, if you haven't done the work, then I do fear for Mina, because if you haven't done the work, then you're going to repeat bad behavior because no one has corrected that behavior.
Right. And a part of trust is also how he just left her to the wolves around his family.
Mm-hmm.
So if you weren't able to stand up for me in front of all your family, pressuring, asking private personal questions in front of the entire group, that is also demonstrating to me that I can't trust you.
100%. So the last thing that Mina says is that Jade also warned her about his family, and she really wants Mark to work on giving them space and setting boundaries and limits.
Mm-hmm.
Mark agrees to do that, but I don't know if he will, because he has it up until this point. So me just telling you, or her just telling you, hey, we have to put some boundaries up and set some limitations between our relationship and the dynamics between the family. He hasn't done it. He hasn't done it in this past. So when will he do it? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think he will either, because it wouldn't have been that hard. It wasn't like there was so much pressure put onto him that he caved. It was like one comment and he just caved right away.
100%.
Like, it would have been a lot easier for him to just stand up for her then, but he didn't do it.
100%. Moving on to Maddie and Stevie. They have 51 days to get married. They remind us that Stevie used to be Maddie's English teacher, and now they're collaborating online to help other people learn English, which I thought was a great idea, especially because Marty can't work. So to keep him feeling busy, to keep him feeling engaged, to keep him feeling like he's a part of the American community, and to also continue to speak English. I think that all of those things were wonderful.
Yeah, it's also good because when you apply for your residency, you still have to prove that you're in a bona fide marriage. And so being able to show a screenshot of all the YouTube videos they've made together is a demonstration to the USCIS officer of how much time they've spent together, that they're in joint ventures together. That's good evidence for your case.
There you go. He's decided he's going to repropose to her, and it's going to be a surprise. And he has planned this whole little getaway overnight stay. And so he asked her to pack a bag, wear something casual, doesn't tell her anything else. She is a little bit like controlling and a planner, so she's having a hard time with it, although she does go with it. They're driving to their secret destination. And Stevie, what I learned about her in this episode, or what the conclusion I came to, Abby, is that she has a lot of insecurities that Maddie's going to leave her. Now, part of me thinks it's the age difference. Part of me thinks it's the cultural difference. And part of me thinks that realizing last week that they've only really spent 3 weeks together in real life, you throw all of that together, and that is like a huge ball of uncertainty, right? And so I get it. But what I want to say to you is that we all have insecurities, and no relationship is 100% guaranteed. But what I'm going to need you to stop doing is making it so that you're the one that is almost begging for the person with you. You're the prize. And I promise you, I was telling Abby earlier, I promise you there's someone always out there. You might reject them or ignore them, or you might not know that they want to be with you, but you're the prize and they want to be with you. And so stop begging for the attention. Stop begging and worrying that that person's going to leave you, because if they're truly your person, they're not going to leave you.
Right.
But the fact that you put out there to them what your insecurity is, I promise you, if they're like a narcissist type of personality, if they are a gaslighter, if they are a love bomber, if they are, what did I learn the other day? A dark emu? Empath? Dark empath?
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
If they're any of those personality types, then they're just going to use the information that you keep giving them against you.
Absolutely.
And so that insecurity that she has that he's going to leave her, that's going to be her downfall, in my opinion. So women, just stop doing that.
Yeah.
Stand in your power, stand in your beauty, stand in the belief that you're worthy. And
yeah, I think that we are unnecessarily preoccupied with the length of a relationship as opposed to the quality of the relationship as well. Because a relationship that is only 3 years long can still have a better quality than one that's 20 years long. So don't be so obsessed about the length and whether he's going to stay with me or leave me, as you are, like, be more concerned about how this person is treating you right now. Be more concerned with what kind of politics they have, whether you agree with their religious beliefs, and how compatible you are in that. Like, be more concerned with the present than you are about the potential longevity, which you can never know.
That part. And have the conversations, you guys. I tell you, before you get in a very serious, committed relationship, have the conversations, have the hard conversations, and see how you feel about it. We talked about it last week. See how they treat servers and the Uber drivers and the bellhops and all the things. See how they treat the stewardess and the I don't know, dog walkers, all the things, the babysitters, all the things, because that's who they really are. And especially pay attention how they treat you. I read something recently, Abby, about, and I'm paraphrasing because you guys know I'm you know how you guys know. So I'm paraphrasing, but basically it said, you know, if you are having doubts, take it as a no, because love is not confusing.
And that's the truth for a great many things. Someone was expressing to me that they weren't sure if they're ready for kids yet, and they're going back and forth in their head about all the different things to consider. And I was like, the answer is no. The answer is no. You don't have to go back and forth the way that you're doing. The answer is no. You have this many doubts and you're this insecure. The answer is no.
There you go. So Maddie talks a little bit about not understanding the whole kneeling for proposal situation. It's cringe to him. His words, not mine. And one of my side note, which is a side note, you guys, you know, last time he's like, I'm fixing to do whatever. And then this week he's saying this is cringe. And I'm just like, clearly Stevie was the one that taught you English, because all of these slangs that you know, it's fascinating to me. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Because as an immigrant and learning English, yes, you learn the slangs, but you don't have them so quickly. So I find his slang game really fascinating. So they get to the beach, and he has put this whole beautiful proposal together. He tells her he loves her. He's 100% sure about his decision. And he's like, look this way. There's a marry me sign with rose petals and a heart and the sand and the ring. And I love you so much. No, I love you so much. He kneels. Will you marry me? She looks him in the eye and says yes. It was a whole moment. What were your thoughts on that, Abby?
I thought it was really cute that even though he didn't really understand why she cared about it, that he was like, she sends me these videos, so I'm going to try and reenact what's in one of these videos because it seems to be important to her. So I appreciated that.
And that he made it important to him because of it,
Mhm.
100%. Moving on to Joan and Greg. They have 78 days to get married. Greg, y'all, he got ready for his state job interview. I personally have never gone for a state job, so I don't know how you're supposed to dress, but I do know that I grew up that you always overdress for an interview. I didn't feel like that's what he did. He had like this short sleeve plaid shirt and some jeans on, didn't even tuck the shirt in, but I mean, new day, new time, I don't know.
No, it's not a new day and a new time.
I'm a millennial, so I was like, I don't think I'm missing like the point, but I do feel like he looked like he rolled out of bed, y'all.
I don't think that he was dressed appropriately for his interview. I could be wrong. I don't know everything about American culture. Maybe in Long Island, that's okay.
Let us know, you guys, because my first reaction was, "Oh, are you getting ready?
You're done. You know how when you get ready and you go out with your girls and you like send a picture of what you're wearing and they're like, "What else you got?"
Yeah, and you're like, "Wait, I already left the house. This is it."
Right?
Yeah. What else you got, Greg? What else you got? Anyways, he lets us know that this job is more in line to what he's used to. It's about plumbing, electrical, carpentry. We know that he's good with his hands in that respect. And so, you know, this could be up his alley. They kiss, they say goodbye. You know, the mom wishes him luck. Lucille's a bit of a low-key hater, y'all. That's all I know for sure. So they're kissing. She's like, okay, enough of that. And he leaves off to his interview. Then Joan and her are sitting, and she's like, you know, I have a project here. Do you want to help me? And of course, Joan is going to say yes, because as Africans, you know, we are elder pleasers. And so she gets this whole basket full of mismatched stocks, and they're going to find the mates to them. And in the meantime, they're having a conversation about, you know, how do you do laundry in Uganda? We hand wash. Oh, wow. And what about the wedding? Are you ready for the wedding? And one of the things I wanted to address with you, Abby, because it's the first time I'm hearing it. So Joan really wants her family to come over, and they've put in for DS forms. But for some reason, there's a wait.
Mhm.
Can you tell our audience what DS forms are and what the typical wait time is?
Yeah, so the DS is the form that you use to apply for a visitor's visa. So when you apply for a visitor's visa, you go online, you fill out this form. It's a DS 160, I think it is. And the fee for it is $120. Or it was. I think it might have gone up. And when you apply for it, you have to also submit proof of your finances. If you have a travel history, you submit your travel history. And you also have to submit proof that you're going to return to your home country. So, proof of employment. If you own property, you'll upload it there as well. If you have children who are going to be staying in the country while you travel, anything that proves that you have a reason to return to the country. And then you can be scheduled for an interview. Interview scheduling in countries that have high demand is very difficult. You can have a backlog. The way most of them do is that you can go into their calendar and you can select the date, like the earliest available date might be a year from now, but you can go back into that calendar, on a daily basis or weekly basis. And if there's any cancellations, then you can try and move into a canceled spot that's sooner. And so what she's explaining is that they have their forms completed, they've paid their fees, but they're waiting for an interview date.
Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
So immigration, y'all, it's a whole process. It's a whole thing. So she really wants her family to come, and I know that some of you guys are up to date, or a lot of you guys are up to date. So you guys know that they did get married and what that looked like. I'm not going to talk about it until we get to that point. She continues to talk to Lucille, and Lucille asks, is there anything that you're not liking while you're in America? And she does the polite answer and says, I like everything. You're kind and you're loving. And Joan's like, well, what do you miss? Like, do you miss the food, your family? And she's like, yeah, I miss the food and the soul of Uganda and privacy. Privacy, y'all. I knew something was coming. I was
She asked.
Oh, here it goes.
She asked.
Joan says, with a smile on her face and very low key, sometimes you're always home. You should go more. And of course, Lucille was like, what did you say? Are you saying that I'm home too much in my own home that I own? I am the queen of this castle. And what are you saying? It's my house. I'm not wrong.
She's not wrong. She's not wrong for feeling how she feels, but I feel like, and you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, I feel like if you can ask me to put mismatched socks together, then I can tell you I want some privacy. Like we're both over the line steppers now.
Facts. I also want to add to what Abby said is, as I get older, I realize that the mother-son dynamic is very different than like a mother-daughter dynamic. And oftentimes, and y'all can come for me, I'm standing 10 toes deep or whatever y'all say about that oftentimes too, especially in single parent households where the mom and the son and it's just them, the mom really looks at the son as like the man of the house and they takes on that role. And I think that there's a little bit of that with Lucille and Greg in this situation. And I do think that now that there's another woman taking the place of Lucille, she's feeling some type of way about it. And that's why she's low-key hating on Joan. Like, she loves Joan, but she's low-key hating. Now, does she do some beautiful things in the next episode and all the things? Yes. But is she feeling some type of way about it? Absolutely, because in her mind, she's losing her son. Mm-hmm. And we can talk about that and flesh that out at another time. But it's true, y'all. There's a kind of crazy dynamic. That's why even sometimes when women get married and the son and the mother-in-law and the wife, there's that, because there's that power dynamic, because the mom has to learn to let go and she doesn't want to let go, and the wife wants to control and she doesn't want to control. So I think there's a little bit of that going on. That being said, kahunas to Joan. Kahunas. That was bold. Bold and beautiful. Greg gets back from his interview. And one of the things, 1,000 Pieces, I wanted to address to you, that he made it seem like it was a handyman job. Last week, we learned that it's a director job. So he's the director of facilities. So yes, they do handyman work, but he would be the director and boss over everyone. And so I still do think that you have to dress the part. You're not just...
And it's not the director of like a cafeteria. It's a state job. So I still lean towards he wasn't dressed appropriately.
And I stand with Abby on that.
I stand with Abby.
I stand with Abby.
But hey, maybe you're right. Maybe we are wrong and we don't know Long Island culture.
And listen, I could be wrong. I've been wrong in the past. Not often.
Not often, but it happens.
It happened.
What did Doofenshmirtz say? If I had a nickel for every time I was wrong, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot. But it's funny that it happened twice.
I literally said it happened. Period.
Okay. Once. Yeah.
So Greg's back from his interview. He said that they asked a lot of technical questions. He didn't really elaborate what that meant. And then his mom, Lucille, tells him about, of course, what Joan did and how she wanted her to be out of the house more and she felt offended. Greg apologizes to his mom and will talk to Joan, which I just thought was lame. Like, Mark, like, you guys need to like really decide if your partner is your partner. Like, who's your partner? Who's your partner? Sometimes you got to stand down. Not sometimes. You got to always be in line with your partner, y'all. Okay? You guys are supposed to be a team. 2 pillars.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, Joan asked how did the interview go, if it was at a 0 to 100. He says 75 to 80, and she was not impressed, and I laughed. And you guys, why I laughed is because I don't think you guys know what African parents are like. And not just African parents, I also say like Black parents in general, and that goes for American parents. I think too, and Abby, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you always have to do better. You have to be the best. You have to do better, work harder, stand out further. And so like 75 to 80 would never be acceptable, not in my family and not in Joan's family. So when she talked about, 90% would be better, 90% would be like, like if I think back on being in school or in any type of education, whether it was high school, university, friggin' an online class, whatever, like, you better be bringing those A's to class. Because I remember I got a B, you guys, for the first time in the 10th grade in my life. And my mom lost it. Like, she was like, what happened? Were you not studying enough? Were you skateboarding too much? Like, what happened? And it's that mentality. Like, I'm not kidding you guys. Like, Africans don't play when it comes to education, y'all. I had an intervention. Y'all, I finished my undergrad in 3 years. I went all through summer. I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I came back. I feel like I'm telling you guys too much information. I came back and I came to the house. And when I say, how you guys have like interventions for like druggies, they had an education intervention. It was all PhD, masters, professors, lawyers, doctors, a bunch of friggin' African professionals, all in the living room. And my mom's like casual. She's like, hey. And I was like, hey. Oh, sit down, Linda. Oh, okay. What are we talking about? So, long story short, so not only do you have to have a master's, this woman, Abby, wanted me to do my undergrad thesis. I don't know if y'all have undergrad thesis where it's just your bachelor's, but they tack on a full year. You do a full-on thesis for a year. You defend your thesis as an undergrad so that you graduate with honors and an undergrad thesis. I don't know if you had that, but guess what? Did I do it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. I don't think it's as universal as I've seen with African parents, keeping in mind the only African parents that I'm exposed to are African immigrant parents. So
Hmm.
that also might be a different dynamic. So I don't think it's that as universal in the Black American family, but it was in my house. It was like that. I remember my sister was so excited when she got to run track one year that she got second place in a race, and she ran up to my dad so excited, and he said, "Yeah, you're the first loser."
Yeah, these fools don't play, y'all. They
Like
don't play.
that's the energy that existed. I got an 89 in one of my hardest classes, and my dad was like, "I just don't understand. You were there every day."
We can laugh about it now, but y'all, we are not joking. We are not joking. These are real things.
Yeah. So
So yeah. So
I would never be able to live the way that Greg is living right now.
well, I mean, Greg needs a job. And you know what I saw? And I think it's in the next episode, but I saw where the mom is an enabler. And we'll talk about that. So Greg confronts Joan about Lucille, and Joan's like, "What? I was testing her patience. I need to see what upsets her. If I'm going to be living here forever, I need to know like where the boundaries lie. So I was just testing the ground." And one of the things that she mentions to all of us is that, he needs to stand for me. I have no one with me here. I'm by myself. I left everything behind to come and live in America with my fiance. And I need him to stand with me, but he took his mom's side. And I want you guys to let that sink in for a minute, because so often it's very easy for Americans to say, oh, they came for the green card. Oh, they don't work. Oh, that person's doing this for the money. They're doing it for the land of opportunity. They're doing all the things. But what you're not realizing, and you haven't been exposed to, is the other side of it. And that's why I say to you guys, go travel if you have the opportunity
Mhm.
to. I read a really disturbing article. 80% of the world has never gotten on a plane. 80%. And I know that there are some people in America who never left their hometown. And I get it. I don't get it, but I get it. But I also want you to take a minute to step back, whether you travel or not, and think about, as a grown person right now, today, you met your soulmate, and your soulmate lives in Australia, and you have to leave everything that you've ever known. So you not only have you not traveled, 80% of you, but now you're going to leave your high school sweetheart, your high school football being the team captain, your parents, your frat brothers, your best friend down the street, the babysitter that raised you. You're going to leave all of those things, all the things, your job the corner store that you've worked at for the last 15 years that's stable, and you know how much money you're going to make every 2 weeks. You're going to leave all of that, all of it. Your car that you love, that you work so hard for. You're going to leave all of that stuff, and you're going to go to Australia. You've never been there before, with a couple of suitcases, to be with the love of your life. And you're going to start your whole life over. I want you guys to let that digest and think about it. And maybe, just maybe, it's not about the almighty green card. Maybe it is about love. Because how many of you guys would actually really do that?
It's a huge sacrifice. And once you get to this place, you don't know anybody, really. You don't know your way around. And if you're in one of the more rural places, you can't get around on your own. It's a really big sacrifice, and it's a really big risk, because who is this person going to be when you're alone and vulnerable?
That part. We're moving on to Annie, Amani, and Matt. I just want to say record that I feel like they're wasting our time, and I'm mad about it.
They are wasting our time.
This is not 90 Day Fiance, the original. These three should not be on this specific show.
I've reached my breaking point with them and their drama. I was interested in the beginning. I didn't think it would actually pan out legally, but I was at least interested in the dynamic of a throuple. Now they are just annoying. Imani in particular.
Yeah, it's really annoying, and okay. I'm gonna get there, but it's annoying. So they're going to Tijuana, and Annie's excited to see her daughter. She has to go back to work. You guys know that she's an exotic dancer, so she needs to go make money, pay her bills, and pay the babysitter, and pay her rent, she says. Antonella, who's her daughter, she's excited to see. She does tell Amani and Matt that, she has regulars that bring gifts for her and her daughter. And of course, Imani gets so offended. She can't believe it. Do you tell them that you're in a serious relationship? Do you tell your customers if you're in a serious relationship?
Absolutely not. And part of her
Absolutely not.
job is creating this fantasy. She has to live off of these kind of parasocial relationships. That's part of her job. So, like the idea that, oh, if you accept gift, it means you're available. What do you think she's doing all day?
Not just that. You friggin' work at the CVS. Someone's in line. They're telling you their business. Are you saying, but I'm in a serious throuple? Like,
no, you don't.
No, you don't.
You don't talk about that with your coworkers. You don't talk about it with your clients and your customers. Amani's ridiculous.
And then she goes on to say, well, what did you tell Antonella about us? And Annie's like, nothing. She's a baby. Exactly.
Let the baby be a baby. They're like, oh, our baby knows that we have a special friend. Your baby doesn't know anything.
What Abby said. That's exactly what I was going to say. First of all, I'm just going to say, if you're a good parent, you're not going to bring your child into adult grown business stuff.
Absolutely. There is absolutely no reason that you do that.
That's my opinion. I think some of you guys have forgotten that those children are children. They're not fully developed. So you bringing your bullshit adult stuff to them is really detrimental to their growth. And I'm not just talking about this. First of all, you're introducing some child who's not even 10 yet to what a throuple is. Are you kidding me? She doesn't even know who she is as a person. Why would you bring that into her world? And then get mad about her having, it's just a mess. You guys just don't do it. Grown folk stuff is grown folk stuff. Remember that. And just because I'm on a side note and I'm on a TED Talk right now, I saw something on TikTok that also pissed me off, where this woman was getting mad at her son because her son got some birthday money and she wanted the son to give her the birthday money so she could pay the light bill. And the son's like, but no, that's my birthday money. And then she was like, having an attitude. And then her daughter's like, listen, it's rude of you to ask him for his birthday money when you have a boyfriend and you spend your money on your boyfriend and you spend money on your nails and you spend money on this car and it's only his birthday once a year. And yet you want him to pay for your
light bill.
Again, you're the grown adult that brought this child into the world. It's your responsibility to take care of them. How dare you?
Mm-hmm.
All right, TED Talk over. My note here about Annie, Imani, and Matt is I find their whole situation toxic. I find it codependent. The more and more I get to know Imani, I feel like she has such trauma that she hasn't dealt with, but she regurgitates all of that onto everybody else and wants them to deal with it. And I also think Matt taking this kind of I'm chill about anything really is lackadaisical for him. I think that this is not what a real throuple looks like. I think these two wanted to spice up their relationship, thought they would add a third, and now they're finding out that this is not quite working out the way they thought it was going to work out. It's not as fun as exciting because it's now you have a third person who's a real full-formed human adult.
Correct.
So Matt is questioning what role he's going to have in Antonella's life. They too brought gifts, which is why I think they got offended that they knew other people were bringing gifts. They wanted to be, the big San Diego saviors. And they are also questioning how they're going to, quote, navigate tri-parenting and blending two families together. And again, in my mind, it's like, why are we even thinking about this? Because you guys are nowhere near the 90 days. You guys haven't even gotten divorced yet. What is that going to look like? I already talked about it last week, and I'm going to say it again this week. Amani and Matt are still married, right? You have Abby here, who's literally an immigration attorney and has taught us along the way what the rules and regulations and the laws are. So what these fools are doing, saying, I'm 90 days in, but y'all are still married. Explain to me in 90 days how you two are going to get divorced. You're going to propose to Annie. Then one of y'all are going to marry her and have to sponsor her and bring her over. But meanwhile, she's not in like a profession that's like, I'm a nurse or I'm a whatever. So as you guys already know, immigration is a huge thing right now in 2025. So how are you going to explain that the woman that you want to marry is exotic dancer, has been an exotic dancer for X amount of years, and yet you want to marry her, but you just got divorced like last month? Explain that to me. Right? And all of this in 90 days? Because, you know, what do we... They don't even say. I said that last week. That's the thing, how they're playing in our faces, you guys. Every other couple, I can tell you how many days they have to get married. Nowhere in the throuple did they ever do that. Go and watch. You'll see. So why are we wasting our time? Why are we insulting the 90-day fandom intelligence when we've been here since day one? Put them on before the 90 days and I wouldn't be talking crazy.
Well, I would still be talking crazy if they were on before the 90 days. And the reason why is because, like, just imagine yourself a USCIS officer, and your whole job is to look at these application packs and determine who is in what they call a bona fide marriage and who is not in a bona fide marriage. And the questions that you're asking yourself are, when did she get divorced? How quickly did she get married after that? How quickly did they apply for the K-1 after the divorce? Where does the husband live? The ex-husband still lives in the same house with them? Wait a minute, every single time that they travel, they turn in their travel itineraries to prove that they've met each other in person. The husband is also on the itinerary. All the pictures they gave us, the husband's at the wedding, the husband standing up with them at the front of the wedding. She's a what? She's a what? Her profession is what? And mind you, prostitution is an admissibility factor for residency. And unfortunately, when you're in that kind of profession, depending on the officer who's interviewing you, they might lump that into and calling it prostitution. So I just don't see how even the most liberal of USCIS officers would be doing their job to approve this application.
That, and also, what about her daughter Antonella? Where does she fit into this whole crazy scheme?
They could even make the assumption that there's some kind of trafficking going on.
I'm just saying, toxic and codependent. That's how I feel about this whole situation. Matt goes on to say that he thinks that there are parts of Annie that they don't know. Well, obviously. And then this is where I lost more respect for Imani, when she told Matt that Annie loves her more than him. Now, here's why I say that. And Abby, you and I talked about this last week, but I'm putting more words to it.
Okay.
It's a power shift. I think Imani likes the power shift because now she doesn't feel like she's the third wheel. She thinks like she's the queen bee. So her husband, obviously totally in love with her, been with her for 10 years. All of his attention is to her. But now she was feeling insecure and jealous about the relationship that Annie and Matt had. You know, she talked about how that was the first person Annie hugged. That's the first person that she was intimate with. That's the person that she kisses and loves on, right? So now she freaks out, has her temper tantrum, all the things. Annie says, well, you know, I love you more. And that made her feel better. Mm-hmm. And not only did it make her feel better and puff up her chest, she now went to beat down, for a lack of a better term, her own husband, because now she's in position 1 in her mind and he's in position 2.
Mm-hmm. And remember, put this in context to how upset she was when she found out they were intimate without her.
Yep.
She found out about that the very next day, and here we are several days later that she hasn't disclosed this issue to Matt. She sat on it so she could feel superior. And I started thinking in this moment, we were watching how she recounted this to him. She wants them to be just Sims in her world. She's got the controller, and they're just Sims in her world to do whatever she wants them to do. It's all about Amani.
That's it. Thousand Pieces says, that's what I was thinking from the beginning. 100%. Thousand Pieces, power shift. And now she's in position 1, so she has no issues. Matt's ready to walk away from this throuple because he's feeling like, nah, this is not it. Moving on to Joan and Jessica. They have 65 days to get married. Side note, he had a Breckenridge hoodie, you guys. I'm not a beer drinker whatsoever, but I will tell you, Breckenridge, if you ever are out there, you got to go to the breweries. They have this vanilla porter that if you're a wine drinker, I don't know, the Breckenridge vanilla porter will change your life.
Okay. I'll keep my eyes open for it.
Breckenridge, if you're out there, y'all, you got to check it out. That being said, Jessica went to work. Juan is home. He's playing Mr. Mom. He's not really fond of playing Mr. Mom. He is with all the boys, and one of them is sick. He has his own son, the baby. The baby's crying. You could tell that he's feeling a little overwhelmed with the situation and has to make breakfast. He's going to make box mac and cheese, which he's never made before because they don't have that where he's from.
Do they also not have directions?
Right. Oh, Abby.
That soupy mac and cheese made me so angry. What do you do? Just rip the box off and throw it away and just say, I'm just gonna do it however I want to.
That part. I mean,
what?
That part. I'm gonna let her have that because there's nothing else I can say.
Juan actually pissed me off in this little segment because every complaint that he's making is letting me know that he simply devalues women. He devalues this work that he's been asked to do because he devalues women. You don't think it's important. You don't think it's substantial. You don't feel like you're contributing to the household because you don't understand the importance of work that is traditionally for women. That's what your problem is. You can't be bothered to try and figure out how to take care of your own son. You can't be bothered to figure out what to make for breakfast. You can't read directions to make macaroni and cheese because you feel like these are things that women should do.
Y'all! Today is June the 9th. This is the first time I've seen Abby lose it. Usually it's me. She's the calm one and the cool collected. I am shocked and bravo. Yeah, so to jump off of what Abby's saying, he's having to do chores. He's having to play Mr. Mom, and he's not having it. He is making mac and cheese. Like you guys saw, it was a mess. It was like soup. And Jessica's son was not impressed. Called Jessica. You know how you remember doing that?
Yes.
That's what it reminded me of. Like he quickly called his mom to complain. Like, hey, you know what your husband's doing? He's making this BS. But do you guys remember, like, hey, mom, can I grab a popsicle out of the freezer? Hey, can I talk to my mom?
Right. They'd be like, okay, what's her name?
What's her name? Right? That's what it reminded me of. And that's what it was.
Yeah, he didn't hold back either. He said, what did he say? It's terrible.
It's terrible. Can you bring me a slice of pizza home?
Right.
I'm going to starve all day because this ain't it.
Yeah, that just really made me angry because I want for men to be able to evolve into equal partners. And if you think that the work that a woman traditionally does at home is beneath you, then you're not ever going to be able to be an equal partner.
Oh, wait. There. Can I just tell you guys, side note, by the way? So I guess how do you get your nails done?
Every so often.
Okay, so every so often I get my nails done, and I don't get like the whatever. I get gel polish.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like, because they tell you that it should last long, I feel like it should last at least a month.
Yeah.
Am I wrong in that?
No, I think it should last a month too.
Okay, because 2-3 weeks is not okay. Like if I show you what's happening with this nail and this nail, I have 3 nails that are running amok, and I'm like,
I think at least a month. Like you may be able to get a little bit more out of it, but it should last at least a month. Are you putting sunscreen on your hands when you go get your gel nails?
no, is that what I'm supposed to do?
Yeah. So after they have you wash your hands, put sunscreen on your hands and then just wipe it off of your nail, because when you put your hand underneath that little gel dryer,
The
that is like
UV light?
intense UV light coming down on your hands. They will age your hands so fast. So
Oh,
just carry a little bit of sunscreen to put on your hands before you get the polish started, so that anytime, unless they have gloves, some of the really fancy places have gloves to put on your hands, and those are fine.
Oh, that's good to know. I didn't know that. And I will start implementing that. Because, they asked me to be a hand model back in the day.
Keep your hands. You might want to do it one day.
Okay. So that was just a side note. Because I'm like, what I don't like, you guys, is I like everything to just look proper. So it distracts me. So when I'm talking to you guys and I see like this nail is all messed up, it doesn't look like the rest of the beautiful nails, I get distracted, right? And
I understand.
It bugs me. It really bugs me.
Get you off track.
Yes. And I'm like, oh, okay. So Juan feels down. He feels overwhelmed for having to take care of the kids this one day. He feels sad. He's thinking about the life he had before. And he doesn't know if he can live there for the rest of his life. After one day, y'all, you took care of the kids for one day, and this is how you're feeling. But if you remember last time, he said that, yeah, I guess I'm ready for this life. Listen, when people tell you what they're talking about and who they are, believe them. Let them continue to talk, because they're going to tell you exactly how they feel, even though if they're smiling in your face and telling you what you think you want to hear. They're really going to tell you in between those things what the truth is. This fool doesn't want this life. And like Abby said, he doesn't even appreciate this life. So he's thinking about the boat. They have 61 days to get married. And when Jessica comes home, she's like, I don't know what to tell you. This is new dad life. Like, deal with it.
Right. And I think that she offered a very good response to he's like, I don't even know what to do with the baby when the baby's crying. She said, I don't know sometimes either. This is what you have to work through as a parent. This is just being a parent to work through it. Yep. I don't know why some men think, oh, you should do X, Y, and Z. You should do the baby care because you're better at it. No, we're not better at it. It's just that we've been forced to have more practice with it. And if you had as much practice as well, then you would also be good at it. These are learned skills. We weren't born knowing how to take care of a baby or clean a house. These are learned skills. You can also learn them.
Absolutely. So they're going out with friends. Megan, who I've had an epiphany about, you guys, and I'm going to tell you in a minute. Chandler and Herbie, who is Megan's husband, y'all. She's a full-on husband that she should really focus her attention on, in my opinion. And Jessica wants Megan and Juan to make up, so they go bowling to see if they can reconnect. And my note literally says, is Megan in love with Jessica? Because at this point, I don't know what else it could be. Because she is so invested in that relationship. The first thing she says to Juan is, can Jessica ever trust you again? Because I need to know that you're 100% there for her, because I'm not 100% there yet myself, but I need to know. I need you to reassure me. I'm like, are you serious? Juan said it and I'm saying it as well. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of having this conversation. Like, are you in the relationship or am I? Because don't you have a full-on husband right there beside you? I'm not understanding. Because are you in love with my wife? Because why are you so 10 toes deep in here?
Right.
Be over there.
I loved his response. I'm done with this. I'm not doing this anymore.
Yep.
Perfect response.
But then her rebuttal was, I'll ruin your life if you hurt Jessica moving forward.
And who does that matter to? Who is getting ready to like cheat on their spouse or do something mean to their spouse? And they're like, oh, but I remember that one time Megan said she would ruin my life if I did this, so I shouldn't do. Nobody cares about that.
Also, it's giving single white female that movie vibes. Like, you're doing the most right now.
Exactly. It's unnecessary. I am hoping that she was made to do this just so they could have some kind of little storyline.
I guess.
And that this is not her personality. I mean, I'm hoping that that's what it is. But listen, producers, I think that you could have made a good story without Megan if you just focused on Juan learning how to be a father. If we had just stayed and watched his bloopers all day long and then like cut into some scenes of him like on the boat drinking and partying, like disperse them throughout his day while we're watching him fail at being a dad, that would have been way more interesting than this whole Megan storyline.
That is savage. Abby savage. We are one last thing I do want to say is that when Megan was bowling and she fell and Juan laughed and said that was karma. He's not wrong.
He was not wrong.
Moving on to season 11, episode 11, Love's True Colors. It opens up with Stevie and Maddie. They have 50 days to get married. Her dad's sick and she wants him to walk her down the aisle. So they go see Perry. And, they've expedited their wedding. So she wants to make sure that he's on board. They meet with him. They show him the engagement ring, and the dad feels like they don't know each other enough. He's not really on board. He's skeptical. Is it the best decision? Because he's seeing a lot of red flags. And she's like, well, if I'm going to do this, will you still walk me down the aisle? And he says, yes. So now the 50 days have now become 14 days to get married. What are your thoughts on that, Abby?
I'm glad that she reconsidered about saving the money to get married earlier. That's it. That's the only feeling I have about it.
You're not going to talk about Perry?
I mean, what's there to say? I think we already said that he was like a racist bigot. So,
all right then.
I mean, I have the same. I don't think that there's anything that Maddie was going to be able to do in a full 90 days that was going to change his mind.
Fair. So that being said, the wedding has moved forward and expedited these 14 days. They're looking at a wedding venue. And one of the random things that I just thought was so random, which again, I think it is, I don't know, but I will say I have seen this often in the 90-day franchise where you have cast members that are Muslim or claim to be Muslim, but they pick and choose their Muslimness. And I don't know, all of a sudden in his 26 years, Maddie wanted to try pork belly, so he's going to eat pork for the first time. I was like...
And if you were going to eat pork for the first time, why would pork belly be the first kind of... Like, that's the worst pork. You might as well just ate chitlins.
It was very confusing. It was very... even now, my face is like... And they're in some, like, hick-town redneck area. Pork belly, like, if you said you were in New York or you in LA or Vegas at a fancy place and they fancied it up, then I would get it. But, like, what? Okay. So what's my point in that? There was no point because there was no point of them telling us that.
No. You actually did have a point. I wrote it down, too, that he ate pork. They're sleeping together. Because I have the feeling that if you want to lean into your culture as a reason why people can or cannot do something, then you need to make me feel like you're embracing your own culture too. So if you're picking and choosing out of your culture and religion what's right and what's not right, I just have less respect for you trying to force me into a rule because of your culture or religion.
Right, because you're not even following the rules yourself.
Exactly, you're not doing it on your own. So he's sleeping with her. They're living together without being married. He's eating pork. He's drinking. So for me, I don't have any respect left for your life as a Muslim person.
There you go. What up, King Bigga? Yeah, it's very confusing. Don't be out here judging, and I'll get to it in a minute. Don't be here out judging where your religion says, two women can't be together. It's wrong in your culture. What part of your culture are you actually standing up for?
Mm-hmm. The parts that
last week I saw you drinking. This week you tell me you're eating pork and you're having premarital sex. Like, explain to me what rules you follow versus what rules you don't follow. Explain to me what rules the Quran says is important versus not important, because that sounds wild to me.
If you're breaking the ones that benefit you and just choosing the ones that condemn other people.
Right. So I'm going to skip by a lot of this because we just talked about it. But Matt, basically, he finds out that Stevie made a nude painting of Claire, who is her best friend, which, by the way, was a side note to me, because who's Megan? Because Megan's acting like she's your ride all, be all, only friend, when I'm finding out this episode that Claire's actually your best friend, and Claire doesn't give a flying tootaroo about any of the things, because she's actually married and happy and with a kid in her own relationship. Fascinating to me. Like, it's all very messy, y'all, and it's all in the details, but like, hello, Megan. So he's mad that there's this naked painting that she did of her best friend, and so now he feels like she's hidden this from him, and asks if she's bisexual. And in his culture, women being together is wrong. In his culture, he's not okay with it. But again, for all the things we just said, like, you sounding hypocritical, awkward. It's an awkward feeling. And he wants her to definitively say whether she is attracted to women or not, and she refuses to answer. Now, that's a whole other thing. I think that, she's perpetuating the issue. I think that I said this like 3 episodes ago, I think that there might be something there. And when she even mentioned that her dad sees it too, and the fact that she won't give a definitive yes or no answer says a lot to me, that maybe she hasn't researched or soul searched or done that work in and of herself, and maybe she's questioning herself and she's just not ready to admit it. I don't know, but it's easy to just say yes or no if it is indeed a yes or no.
Yeah, she's dragging it out way too long.
Aaliyah and Sean, 36 days to get married. They're having an engagement / meet and greet in Northern Cali. Aaliyah's finally going to meet his family. They're calling it an engagement party, but really no one knows that they're engaged, which, my heart was like, you got to set your partners up for success, y'all. This ain't it.
Exactly. I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel if someone refers to you as a beautiful creature?
Oh, we're not there yet. I trust and believe. Trust and believe that did not go by me at all.
Mm-hmm.
At all. So, engagement party. No one knows they're engaged. Sean did this joke, and I think I'm gonna butcher it, but I'm gonna try. Oh, you've gotten a lot of explaining to do, Lucy, which is from, I know her name is Lucille Ball. I can't think of the show, but it was Lucille Ball. Aaliyah didn't get it because she's like, what are you talking about? And she's going to Northern California. She thinks, oh, is it going to be colder? Is there going to be snow there? She hasn't seen snow. She wants to see snow. That made me chuckle a little bit because, like, you're literally going to the Bay Area. Like, y'all calm down. She's also frustrated that he hasn't told his friends and family about her. And she wants to make sure that he's proud of her and wants to display that they're together as a couple and in a serious relationship. And fast forward, they get there, they meet Sean's mom, who's been supportive and respectful of the relationship. Aaliyah looks at her as a second mom, and Jean seems very, very kind. You guys, she came out with oozing kindness, welcoming. Even Aaliyah thinks that she's very special and kind. And one of the things that I laughed about, because what we know about Sean is that he's like a mini hoarder, you guys. And I don't know, like, if you get to an age, because I know that I feel like even my mom, she was a collector for a while before she like cleared all that stuff out. But they collect and like random stuff. So coffee cups and Christmas stuff and monks. Like, Aaliyah's like, oh, I see where you get it from. Your mom and you collect this. Oh, yes. And earlier in the show, when I said mom and sons have this like dynamics, that's part of it. All that crazy stuff that your partner has, y'all, they learned it from their mama.
All those tchotchkes. This is the first time that we've learned also that Aaliyah does have some family that is not supportive, because we only met Aaliyah's mom that I remember. So learning that there is some family there that's not supportive actually gives more context for how Aaliyah's wanting to feel accepted, and that Sean is proud of them to be together.
Agreed. One of the things that we're considering, to me, you guys, was Jeannie. Excuse me, not Jeannie. Where did I even get Jeannie from? Her name is Jean. Anyways, Sean isn't 100% happy, he says, because his mom, Jean, asks, you know, are you ready? Are you 100% happy? He's like, no, I'm not 100% happy. He still has questions. He wants to be 100% happy. He's maybe 60% happy, but he needs answers to his questions, and they only have 30 days left. And I was like, I thought of you, Abby, because I was like, what? How are we all forgetting that y'all have been together for years? The 90 days is to plan the wedding.
Yeah, that's all it's for.
To get to re-know your partner. What are y'all doing?
Yeah, that part has gotten completely lost. The 90 days is just for wedding planning. And Sean had the means to continue traveling to Brazil or a third country, because we also learned that they traveled to third countries together, for them to continue spending time together and get these questions answered.
Yeah.
What he's done is put both of them in a pretty unfair situation.
Agreed.
He's made it so you're trying to tell Aaliyah, a person who's still getting to know themselves, you're trying to get Aaliyah to have definitive answers on how many body modifications that she's going to want to have. And you put yourself in a situation where you have to determine how much of that you're okay with. It didn't need to be this kind of pressure.
Not just that, y'all, you're not going to sit beside me and I'm supposed to be your future spouse and you tell me you're only 60% happy. That's not happening.
Exactly.
That will still be on the couch beside you. That is not happening. No, thank you. I'd rather be single and alone than be with someone that says they're only 60% happy with me. Like, are you kidding? What?
Right. It's unfortunate, because now also, before I would say, oh, Aaliyah, just honey, just pack your bags and go home. But now we know Aaliyah, we didn't come from the place that I assumed Aaliyah came from, which was a happy community with family all around you who love you and you can return to them. That's not the community that you actually came from.
Yeah. So fast forward, they have 35 days to get married. It's the party day, and Sean's calling it the coming out / gender reveal party, which he thinks is kind of funny. But I was like, that's a little in poor taste, because you haven't told your family anything about Aaliyah, and now you're just throwing everything at them with no
warning,
parameters,
no warning,
nothing. Yep.
This is so unfair. This is unfair to your friends, and it's unfair to Aaliyah. How would you feel if you were a friend? I think that I know you pretty well. I speak to you pretty often. You're bringing your fiance over for me to meet, and you show up with a woman when I thought your fiance was a man that you've been going to see in Brazil. That's unfair to everybody.
It's mostly unfair to Aaliyah because, again, you're setting her up for uncomfortable situations that she should not have to be in. Especially, she's there by herself with no
Correct.
support, friends, and family.
Correct.
It's selfish.
And she's already said twice now that she feels uncomfortable in these situations.
That's right. So we're meeting Alfred the friend, Stacy the friend, Kayla the daughter, and Austin the son. Apparently they were super, super loud or super, super late to the party, so everyone was waiting on them. And they meet Aaliyah. Aaliyah is being Aaliyah, very like kind and open. Kayla asks, what are your pronouns right away? And it's she, her, she says. And then this is where I knew Alfred was going to be an issue from as soon as I saw him talking to Jean. I knew that this guy either still has feelings for Sean, messed around with Sean, something happened with them because you guys know when, I don't know, my intuition always tells me when someone's
too familiar.
Too in it, there's something
Too
else.
Familiar, yep.
So they openly welcome Aaliyah, at least at a surface level, you guys. And they're all sitting down to have their lunch. And of course, Alfred is the first to say something, which Abby brought up a little bit earlier. How come we haven't heard about this beautiful creature before? Alfred asks. And I
gasped.
Yes. He chose those words specifically on purpose and intentionally. And I thought it was terrible.
Terrible and poor taste.
Yep. And to spark controversy, you guys, and to let anyone that was thinking anything to dig that knife just a little bit deeper in. And I just thought it was unfortunate, but it goes into everything that I was saying earlier, that Sean did not set up Aaliyah for success. And then to top it all off, and I like Sean, don't get me wrong, you guys. I just think that there's things that he does that unintentionally are very hurtful. So he's making a joke, which Aaliyah said earlier before they left. I don't like when you make jokes about me in front of your friends. It makes me feel uncomfortable. But then when he was asked, are you ready to get married, and about the beautiful creature, he literally says, well, maybe immigration will take her away. We still have 30 days for that to happen. Wow.
This is in front of your friends, in front of your children. Why do you not want to allow your partner to put their best foot forward? And for you, as a relationship that they're just now learning about, to be in sync and supportive and loving. I think people worry too much about being entertaining and being funny. Be a loving person to your partner. Respect your partner's wishes above all else. I wouldn't be able to do this. This it feels like humiliation.
Yeah, I agree with you. Alfred goes on to talk to Sean one-on-one, says he has major concerns because Aaliyah has no career, nothing behind her, short open gay life, now also becoming a woman, so many new things. Is this the best thing for you? This is the best thing for her. And I really didn't think that his intentions were pure. I feel like he was just trying to continue to highlight what he feels are her shortcomings.
Yeah, his intentions definitely aren't pure, because he didn't even bother to ask, what kind of work did you do in Brazil? Because Aaliyah was a nurse. Aaliyah did have a career. He didn't bother to ask Aaliyah any questions about how long you have been gender nonconforming, because that could have existed long before the actual physical transition. So with no information, he asked this question that he proposes that's all factual, but you really have no information behind it, Alfred. And before you make those kind of suppositions about someone in the guise of caring about them, you should know what the actual answers are.
That part, what she said. Moving on to Annie, Amani, and Matt. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them because, again, I'm just over it. I just, it's a waste of my time, but they're part of the show, so I will cover it. Matt's hurt by his girlfriend and his wife. He calls his friend Eric, who is also in the poly lifestyle, tells him what's been going on and how Annie loves Amani more than him, and that Annie doesn't care for him, and he feels hurt. And he wants to, or the advice that his friend Eric gives him is that he should pause and put a recess on this relationship because jealousy and delusions are going to happen, and that's going to be an issue in your relationship. And if you're feeling like a third wheel, then you need to pause and go back to the drawing board, is what he's saying. So Matt talks to Amani about this, and Amani's good because she feels that the balance of power is in her favor. So she's like, "What's your problem now? Of course we're in it together." What? Matt's like, I can't accept it all. The relationship is further with you and Amani than it is with me and her. And we need to really understand the balance in a polyamorous relationship. And she's like, "What, Matt? You're acting crazy. Everything is great. She loves you and I love you and everything is fine and dandy." She's doing the two-step, y'all. And Matt's like, "Well, I don't think Annie understands how I've had to dismantle a family structure that I've built for the last 10 years, and I'm doing it all for you guys. And does Annie understand this?" And I was like, oh, Matt is in his feelings now, but his wife of 10 years doesn't care because, like I said earlier on, she's now in the position of where she wants to be.
Exactly.
Now she's here, and the two of them are there, and she's not going to mess that up anymore.
She's not distressed at all.
At all. She puts her hands through his hair and is like, "We're good, baby." A mess. Sarper and Shekinah, they're talking about Sarper's anger issues, and he tells them that he's working on it. He's working on growth and respect and love day in and day out, and he's always trying to improve himself. And honestly, you guys, I believe him. And I know that y'all believe him because think about him 2 seasons ago, what we really thought about him till now. He's put in the work, y'all. He's trying. He's not perfect, but none of us are.
Mm-hmm.
He also goes on to apologize to Shekinah's sister for that very first poor impression, which, again, a lot of people don't apologize. A lot of people don't own up to their mistakes. That takes a lot. So he wants a new start. They're kind of like 50-50, iffy on it. The sister's really still not on board with him, but he's planted the seed. He's put in the olive branch. I almost said Olive Garden. He's put in the branch. Y'all, I am great at a lot of things. Sayings, I'm still wrapping my mind around. But Sarper really does like Montana. It's grown on him. And so I could see them living there because I feel like he's better in Montana than he is in LA. There's 69 days to get married. They went back to LA. It's a week later in LA. And guess what? They're fighting like the season we met them fighting. Like it is a brutal fight. And some of the things that Sarper says to Shekinah is that, your face is my problem. I hate you. I hate this life. I'm going to go back to Turkey. F you. I hate this life. And I'm planning to move out of this place. And then there's a list of things that Shekinah sent to Sarper that she felt was hurtful. And I just wrote down some of them. She won't let him drive her car. He thinks that she's hard to live with. She thinks, okay, wait, let me start again. Shekinah won't let Sarper drive her car. Sarper thinks that Shekinah is hard to live with. Sarper also thinks that her dogs are hard to live with. Sarper thinks that she freaks out at waitstaff and doesn't treat waitstaff well, which y'all we've talked about. when people show you who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Shekinah's mad that she feels that Sarper doesn't say please and thank you for the little things that she does for him. And overall, Sarper thinks that Shekinah just has bad energy. Becca, yes, the real intro. And let me tell you, I've been to Olive Garden one time in my life, and it was the first and last time ever. I don't know what that is not pasta, y'all. I don't know what. It's like SpaghettiOs. Is that SpaghettiOs in the can?
Yeah, like the Chef Boyardee SpaghettiOs.
Chef Boyardee's, that's the vibe. That's.
I mean, listen, guys, Olive Garden has its place, just like Panda Express. Sometimes you want bad food from a particular ethnicity, and you know where you can go to get it. Sometimes I have a craving for some horrible Chinese. You know, you just got to know where you're going. Don't go there. I feel bad because sometimes I see tour groups in the US and they're taking them to like Red Lobster and Olive Garden. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, okay. Abby's right. If you got to know what you're looking for. But if you're thinking like, oh, I'm going to have an amazing Italian meal, I mean, it is what it is. Becca has a question for you, Abby, so I'm going to go ahead and pop that up there. Go ahead and read the question and then answer, please.
What are the rules for foreigners driving in the US? I'm always so surprised to see people driving in other countries. For the US, it's state-wise. So each state makes their own rules on whether you can get a driver's license or not in that state. I'm in DC, so you can be undocumented here and get a driver's license. You just have to prove that you're in a particular process and show proof of that here. Some states are more strict. You have to be an actual green card holder or citizen in order to be able to get a license. And then the real ID rules that have finally gone into effect are even more strict on proving your identity. So if you are here from a country that refuses to issue you an identity document, you may have issues getting a ID. So for example, the Venezuelan consulate, it's not staffed right now. So if you're here from Venezuela, you can't get a passport if you don't already have one. So state to state, those are the rules.
And I'm going to just chime in on that from international Canadian perspective. If you're traveling anywhere outside of the US, so if you're Canada and you're going to Africa or you're going to Amsterdam or whatever, there is a license called an international license, and you just go to your local licensing spot, so wherever you live, and you apply for an international license, and that international license allows you to drive internationally in other countries. It doesn't apply in the United States, but outside of everywhere else, that's what you would get an international license. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if the rules have changed, but the last time I had an international license, it lasts for 6 months. So there you are. Greg, Joan, and Lucille, 65 days to get married. One of the things that, I won't get too into it because you guys already know how I feel about this showering business. Y'all do whatever y'all do. You guys know how I feel about it, but Joan is taking issue Lucille is taking issue that Joan showers twice a day, in the morning, at night. And
so it's weird that she's so interested in how often Joan showers, but also don't you shower after you have sex?
Y'all, we've had this conversation. Some of y'all are nasty. I'm hearing that you shower 3 days a week. And then, my neighbor told me that I don't know, I can't say this word, but it begins with a double W, showers. Mm-hmm. That was the first time I heard that. Some of y'all are just nasty, y'all. I don't believe the hype. Okay. I don't care what these fools are telling you that you shouldn't shower, or it takes off your pH balance and all the stuff. Those are lies. And especially if you are outside, lies. If you're going to the gym and you come home and lies. Y'all are being nasty, and you want to know why there's nasty stuff out there is because you guys are acting nasty. If you're sweating and showering if you're sweating and like my mom likes to say, perspiring, then go ahead and take a shower before you put your nasty self anywhere else in your
She said that she's happy. Lucille says she's happy that his room is so clean. It's never been so clean before. So you know that she's like a clean person, but you're complaining about her also wanting to clean her body. It's just bizarre. Even if she wasn't paying the utility bill, like if Greg was actually helping out and paying the utility bill, I just feel like she would still complain about it.
It's
Maybe
weird,
it just,
y'all. I'm not a
it's
fan
very,
of,
it's a weird
y'all acting
fixation.
so weird about it. It's cleanliness. Anyways, Lucille pops into the bedroom that is now clean because Joan cleans it, Joan cleans it. And Lucille doesn't want to have the wedding at the house all of a sudden last minute. She's talking about some pond instead. And her excuse is like, we don't know, weather permitting, what's that going to look like. Then we're going to need tents and tables and chairs and all the things. And so she's found a spot because she doesn't want to do all the things. And she doesn't believe that Greg will be on top of it, which is the first thing that she said is true about her son. She knows her son. She knows her son is lazy and doesn't have a job, and she doesn't want to get stuck doing all the extra work because she already does a lot of work at the house as it is.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the budget for the wedding? And he says, Greg being he, 5,000. And she's like, for 75 people for food, liquor, and the dowry?
Lucille, I want to introduce you to something called Let Them Fail. This is a let them fail situation.
I died of laughter.
She
also is still taking issue with the dowry and wanted to know if you can factor in how much you've supported her already, which I thought was a super ignorant comment, right? Because and she's like, oh, I'm tired about hearing the culture. Again, that's super ignorant of you. And I just was not impressed by it.
It is very ignorant, but so I'm going to explain to you why I think it's ignorant, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. So I think the reason why it's an ignorant comment is because the dowry is because it's a repayment kind of for the family that raised you, for all of the time and effort they put into you, into your schooling, into raising you. And so the money that, or whatever I've covered for you living here, that doesn't pay the family back anything.
It's that, but it's also, how can I explain it? It's also, in African culture, a lot of the culture is about respect, tradition, and elders. And it's a lot about, yes, you raise this person to be a great person, but also, do you respect this family and the legacy of that family? And if you do, then you're going to pay this dowry that's going to go into the family that shows that you actually respect the family. The other part of it is, especially with females in African culture tend to be the caregivers in all aspects. So when you're taking a caregiver out of that family, there has to be something that also then replaces her.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of layers. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
layers. So it really is a cultural thing, and it's disrespectful to not appreciate that that's part of the culture. That's all I can say. You know, when I was engaged, you know, just like how even in America, you know, the guy goes to the family and asks the family, the father specifically, if there's not a father, whoever the elder in the family is, for the permission and the blessing to get married. You know, that's part of it. But in my culture, it's also about learning what your tribe's cloth is, and you're presenting that cloth to the elder that you're talking to.
Mm-hmm. Do you have it? She's going to show us something, guys.
So I'm sure you can't probably see a lot of it, but there's a piece of blue cloth here. Like that's part of it. It's the ribbon of it. You can't really see it, and I'm not going to pull it off, but it's a thing, and it's meaningful to the families, and it's very, very important. And if you skip that part, it really is a disrespect, and it really will put if you then still decide to get married, it will put your marriage in jeopardy. I'm not kidding you. I'm not. It's like a whole thing. We can have a whole show on it, but we won't. Moving on. So 61 days to get married. They're en route to the venue that Lucille found to check it out. And, you know, it's a beautiful venue. And Joan is a little worried, right? She says the house would be cheaper. And there's a little bit of tension between Joan and Lucille because she asks, you know, what does this package look like? And the administrator says, you know, this package is $8,900. It includes a buffet and an open bar. And Greg's like, "Ooh, that's a lot of money," right? Because, you know, he budgeted $5. And this is where Joan really surprised me. But now that you said, Abby, that there is a place where you have to let the couple fly or fail. I am thinking about that now, but she surprised me in that she's like, if you, Greg, pitch in $1,000 for your own wedding, then me and your dad will pay for the rest. Oh, Abby, go ahead.
Well, I've only had experience raising one child, but that experience has been, if you don't let them fail, then they don't really ever figure out how to pick themselves up.
Right.
And so the let them fail theory is that you allow your child throughout life from when they're small to do their own problem solving and learn whether or not their problem solving worked out for them. And through a process of trial and error, they eventually began to make decisions that allow them to win. But you got to let them fail first.
Yeah. I mean, the gesture was amazing and very kind. And also, I'm sure that it also helps Joan get what she wants, right? Because she doesn't really want to have it at her house. So it's a win-win for her. But I also think that there is a lot to say what Abby's saying, because Greg's 35, y'all. You know, and if you want to really talk about it, I'm worried because he's never lived outside. He's never lived by himself.
Yeah.
He's never lived outside of his mama's home, right? So for me, living with a roommate is experience. Traveling and living abroad for some time is an experience. Living with a roommate is experience. Living with someone you love, who, whether it's like your boyfriend or your fiance or whatever, is an experience. And he's going from his mama's house to potentially being with his wife.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Joan is setting their marriage up for some difficulty without even knowing it, because in her mind, I'm free all day long, so I'll just do like this cleaning. But eventually, one day, Joan, you're going to go to work because you enjoy work. You enjoyed working when you were in Uganda, and it sounds like that's something you want to get back into. You've established your role in this house as cleaning up after him, and he's a slob. He's not cleaning up after himself.
Yeah.
So you're going to go to work. He's going to continue to be a slob, and you're going to have 2 jobs.
Yep. And then when you have a kid and you throw that into the loop.
3 jobs. So like critical error when you come to the US, I'm speaking to the immigrant partners now. And yes, all day long, you are free. And so maybe you think, I want to do something nice for my partner. I'm going to make sure he has something to eat, and I'm going to make sure that the house is clean. Don't do more than you would do if you were working all day. In fact, if you can find a way to be a tourist through that 3 months, then do that. Be like, oh, I found this nice ice cream shop. I found this fantastic museum. Make your days busy, honey. Do not allow yourself to fall into this housekeeper category.
Ooh, Lord. And on that note, you guys, we have covered both episodes. We will be back again soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe, you guys. I feel like there's not a lot of liking and subscribing going, but there's a lot of y'all in the chat. So we need your support.
Yes.
We love your support. We love you.
Here.
Thank you for being here with us, and we will see you very soon.
Bye-bye.